So as you have seen in the previous video, we have created the table for this database. The database name is obviously reg user database, which we have done, and the table name is user form. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna edit all these columns and put the respective name on them and change the variable types and then length as well. So we're gonna do that now. So the first name I'm gonna put as ID. Basically that will be integer anyway. And what we'll do, we'll make the ID variable as auto increment. You know, like if you can, when you browse in here, basically you guys can see null index, auto increment. So the very first one is the ID. So we're gonna use that as auto increment. So what that will gonna make, that will gonna make that particular ID field as a primary ID, which that's what we want. And then we will create the new text new field, which will be like first name. That will be like worker in it. For easy sake, we're gonna make this the first name, so all small letter. So worker, and we're gonna put the size as 255. Then we're gonna put as last name. We're gonna use that as a worker too. So 255. Then we will use address, which will be worker again, and 255. Then phone, worker again, 255. Email, worker, 255. Then we have last three fields, so which will be like username, again worker, 255. Password, worker, 255. And confirm password. We don't need this field, but just for the sake of this video, I'm gonna have that field as well. Generally, you don't need it to store into a database. Just one password is fine. Password field is one is fine. So as you can see, the very first one, we have that one as a primary ID. Basically, we have used the auto increment, but none of the other ones have those auto increment option and then primary ID as well. So none of the other ones have that. So only one of them. So that will be our main primary key. So now the table is being created. So we're going to save it. The structure has been created. We're saving the table. So as you can see, the structure of this table, that's the structure. So ID is the primary key and all the other fields are here. And then if we browse, we can see the table has nothing like in there, like no value, nothing in there. So we're gonna insert values, but not by manually. We're gonna do it from the HTML tag we have, like basically the form we have created. So we're gonna use the PHP tag here to create the code which will capture the user input from this form, and then it will gonna save those data into this table, phpMyAdmin table automatically. So that's what we're gonna do. So that's what we're gonna do now. First, before we write some codes inside this form, the PHP codes, we're gonna create a new file. So if I click on it, and then I can create a new file. So basically, I'm gonna name this file as connect.php.php. So what this file gonna do? So I'm gonna open the PHP tags in here. This file will be very important because it will gonna connect the PHP, this whole documents to the database. So basically, that particular file, the connect PHP, will be connected to the database. So we need to use this file in our different other files, like registration file. We're gonna use the same file. So I'm gonna show you one by one how we're gonna do this. I'll create some variable first. So basically, I'm going to create the first variable and I'm going to name it as localhost. This is essential. We need to have this like the variables or the values to connect to the database. Server name. Now we have the username, which will be equal to root. Now we're gonna have the password. Since when I have created my phpMyAdmin, like when I have created this phpMyAdmin, I have not put any password. I have not changed anything. So by default, what happens? The password is empty. So basically, you can leave the field as it is empty. So this is and the database name. So the database which we have created just now, we're going to enter the exact same name, so that when we connect to the PHP, like MyAdmin, the database name will be very important because it will recognize which database it need to connect to. So the database name, as you can see, the reg user database. So that's the one. So reg user database. So if I just copy it from here, so without making any mistake, I can do that. If you can type it down, it is okay as well, but make sure that there is no error. So that's the database, is the database name. So that's how I'm gonna develop. So after creating those variables, I'm gonna use another variable. So I'm gonna name that one as connect PHP MyAdmin. So connect phpMyAdmin, that's my variable name. You can put any variable name or you can put a short variable name. It's not a problem. So I'm gonna use this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy these variables and I'm gonna start inserting them inside this parenthesis. And you need to follow exact order how I am entering, because it is essential. Because when PHP wants to connect to this particular phpMyAdmin, it will follow the structure, which is like first you will put the server name, which is localhost, then you will put your phpMyAdmin username, which is root by default, and then the password is empty because I have not filled my password, and the database name is the database name which you have created. This is the order we have to follow must. Also, we need to put a comment in here, like a code in here, special code. So this is, you need to put it. So that's how it should look like altogether. Then we're gonna create one if else statement. So first I'm gonna write it the if else statement. So basically here I'm gonna use this variable as a condition. You can put any comment here. So if you wanna put some comments in the PHP, you need to put the hash sign, then you need to write something. So basically PHP will not consider that as a code. PHP will consider that as a comment, so PHP will ignore it. Okay. So this is that's why I'm just leaving it here as it is. PHP will ignore it. So I'm gonna print a confirmation message if our database is successfully connected or not. So what I'm gonna do, This is just a plain message. If there is any error occurs, this die MySQL error will be displaying the exact error code. So basically then you can find out where it is going wrong, like if it doesn't connect to the database successfully. But if it connects to the database successfully, then it will be displaying this positive message. Now if I save this file, so basically I'm going to copy the path. So if you right click on it, so then you can copy the path. Then I'm going to go to my browser, and basically I'm going to open a new tab, and I'm going to paste the tab, so paste the path, and then I'm going to delete from here the htdocs. I'm going to delete them, and localhost. So basically the connect.php.php, that's the one I'm going to check if it is connected to my database or not successfully. So let's check it. Okay, there is some error. Let's find out what is the error is. I think there is a error MySQL. Let me check. Yes, that's the error. So I have found out the error. So this is where I made it wrong. So it should be MySQL. Let me check again. Let me refresh the page. See, now it is connected to the database successfully. So database is successfully connected. So now we have done our part. So database is now connected. So this is the exact code you have to write to connect to the phpMyAdmin database. So that's how we're gonna save this. Whatever the data we're gonna collect from this user registration form, we can save it inside our database. So I'm gonna write the PHP now. So first I'm gonna include the file. By writing this, include the file. So I'm gonna just so the file name has to be exactly the same. So connect php.php, which I have done, and then I'm gonna write a statement here. So I'm gonna write this is it. Then I'm gonna open a parenthesis, $, post, then we have to, I'll put the single quote here. So in here, we're gonna check, the post, the form has the post method, right? So it refers to that. So we're gonna collect the button name here. So what the name we have put here. So for me, I have put this button name, which is type submit. The name is here. So name is like submit button. So if I just copy this without making any mistake, so basically we can't make any mistake or typing error, then the PHP code not gonna work. So then this code will work. So then we'll start capturing those user input and save them in one by one in different variables. So I'm gonna create the $sign here. So to name my variable, so f name, suppose that's the variable name, and the values I'm gonna enter is $, post, so the f name belongs to the first name. So whatever the name I have put in this field, in the form field, like this input type, that name I'm gonna copy it, single quote, and inside the single quote I'm gonna paste it. So this is how we're gonna store those inputs from these users, or input values from the users inside a variable. So if I just copy it, because since I have like 8 field, so it will be easier for me. So it will be L name. So in the next video, guys, we're gonna get these variables, like all these codes perfectly sorted, and then we're gonna write some more codes so that we can save the data into the database.